1212, I go by the name of DJ What, and you're now listening to the original Jeek Podcast. Let's go!
Ready to make an entrance, so backward cut. Come on, cut for me.
Oh yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
Fresh.
Yeah, making me itch.
What up, Jeeks? It's your boy RockinMrMagic, and this is the original Jeek Podcast. Oh man, it is so good to be here with y'all. We've got a fun episode today. Later on, we will be interviewing a Wing Chun instructor, Kung Fu Kendra. Looking forward to that conversation later on in the episode. But let's get started. We're going to jump into a little, what are you, PWC? What playing, watching, and creating, man. I've had a little more free time, so I've been spending it. I've been spending with y'all, which I love. I love doing this show. I love doing Finalysis 101 with the homie Craig Burnham. And if you did not know, our pro wrestling show, Breaking Ring Rust, will be returning here in 2026. We weren't able to fit it into production during 2025, and we sadly only got 2 episodes put out in 2024. But the show will be returning here in 2026. So that's what been working on, creating, putting together the minds, making things happen, in the lab, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I've been creating. But we've been watching out here, and we've been playing out here. So I think last episode I mentioned I was playing Shenmue 3. I am still playing Shenmue 3. Also turned back on the Final Fantasy 16. Y'all who know me know I love Final Fantasy, and I need to finish Final Fantasy 16. It's been too long. I want to finish the story. And unlike most games, I am really not trying to level grind way too much. And there's really not enough. And I've noticed for the bit of level grinding I've tried to do in this game, there's not enough RNG to really do it well. Like, you clear out an area and it's pretty cleared out for a while. You have to travel away and then travel back. And it is really time consuming to do the traditional level grinding, by just running around killing, randomly spawning enemies. In certain areas, the enemies are, stronger and will get you more XP, but it's a bit more grindy to do this in this newer game. So I'm trying to be leveled up, but not where I, have traditionally, or, I've gotten to like a level 50 and I really only need to be at level 20. I am level 38 right now, and there are some monsters, and I came across an S-class hunt that's currently level 45, and it was kicking my butt. So I am not going to be doing my normal over leveling, and but I'm still enjoying the game. It's beautiful, and I'm having a good time. And then, oh man, what I've been watching, I have been watching some Jackie Chan. I'm a big Jackie Chan fan. My favorite Jackie Chan film, and of all time, is Police Story 1. And so I've been on a police story. I love the Police Story movies. I love all 4 of them. Of the originals, Police Story 1, 2, 3, aka Super Cop, and Police Story 4, aka Jackie Chan's First Strike. I own them all on hard to find VHS releases. And so I've been just going back into my Jackie Chan bag of, late 90s, not late 90s, early 90s Jackie Chan films. So obviously the Police Story films, but Super Cop, particularly, I watched, and then I went from Super Cop into Jackie Chan's Who Am I, which is an underrated classic. And then, of course, I went into Operation Condor, aka Honor of God 2. So a lot of Jackie Chan over the past week, which is always a good thing. Oh, and a new Jackie Chan movie I watched called The Shadow's Edge. Really enjoyable. Really had a good time. I really enjoy a lot of these older Jackie Chan films because he's really using his new stunt team, and it's kind of like in wrestling, like he's putting over and trying to make new stars. So the focus of especially in the martial arts and the combat is not all him. Jackie's doing Jackie, but it really is giving a lot of these young people a chance to shine with under Jackie's banner. So The Shadow's Edge was really an enjoyable film. I think you can rent it on Amazon. I think so. But it was a really enjoyable watch. I watched it with English subtitle, but and the act, there were some really nice scenes. There were a lot of acting, a lot of emotions really came through kind of unexpectedly. And because you hear Jackie Chan, you don't expect a whole lot of emotion and of to be in the story. You expect him to kick a lot of butt and get revenge or whatever. But they definitely had a nice subplot that had a good amount of emotion and connection, and processing through shared trauma that was really well done for what is still largely an action film. So The Shadow's Edge, enjoyable watch, and then the familiar films that I mentioned that are always comfort films to watch. So before we get to this interview with Kung Fu Kendra, got some quick hits to go through. In the world, the news world for Jeeks, we got some video game news. Quick hit here. Ryan Hurst has been cast as Kratos in the Prime God of War series. If you're not sure of who Ryan Hurst is by name, you would likely recognize him as Gary Bertier from the film, the Denzel Washington film, Remember the Titans. The big, tall, white, that's the left side, who got paralyzed. Who's your daddy, Gary? Who's your daddy? If you don't know him from that, you may know him as Opie, I think. What's the name of his character in Sons of Anarchy? Don't quote me on that because I did not watch Sons of Anarchy, but I'm pretty sure Opie is the character's name. And he also played Beta in The Walking Dead. Ryan Hurst. Now, here's the thing: I haven't looked at a lot of it, but I've glanced at some of the reactions of this casting, and there are people who are not really excited about it. My take is different because I'm not a Ryan Hurst fan. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's done well in the things that I've seen him in. But the big thing is, I'm not a God of War fan. I never played God of War. I have no emotional fandom or connection to the character of Kratos. The only thing that I really like about Kratos as a character um, is that he was voiced by T.C. Carson, that are known as Kyle Barker from Living Single, and the brother the brother from Stargate was his body model, and then um, Shad Gaspard, rest in peace, the WWE star who passed away a couple years ago, was also his mocap uh, actor for God of War. That's the only things that I really know about Kratos. Like I said, I've never played the game. I have, I think, 2 of the games that were free with PlayStation Plus, but yeah, I have never been intrigued enough by any of the games of the series to press play. So I don't have any vitriol towards the casting of Ryan Hurst because I have zero emotional connection to God of War. Being said that, I'm not opposed to this casting. Ryan Hurst is a large man, so physically aspects, he probably can do a good job as far as physically portraying Kratos. And if he needs to get bulkier, I'm sure he can bulk up. If he's going to spend a lot of time with his shirt off. And Kratos, I don't think I've ever seen an image of Kratos wearing a shirt. So Ryan Hurst may be shirtless for a lot. And, I'm sure he can bulk up and looks the part. My concern for Ryan Hurst would be the voice. Is his voice going to be distinctive enough for fans looking to hear a similar vibe that they got so long from T.C. Carson? That, to me, from my outside view, my non-fan view, is going to be a big challenge for Ryan Hurst because so much of the character is going to be familial through sound, and seeing is part of it, but hearing is big for connection with gaming. The sound is a much bigger thing than just the visual. So I think that could be a hurdle that Ryan has to overcome. So hopefully, his acting coaches, the directors are going to put him in a position to succeed, when it comes to the voice, because, we've seen, uh, Batman actors, uh, you know, they're all compared to Kevin Conroy, who simply voiced Batman, but that voice was so great, so distinctive, and had such an emotional connection to people who watched, especially those who grew up watching Batman the animated series. That your Batman performance is compared to that amazing distinctive voice. So I think there could be a potential comparison along those lines for Ryan Hurst in this role as Kratos. But I would like to know what you all think, especially you God of War fans. How much do you like or dislike Ryan Hurst's cast as Kratos? I would really love to hear, in the League of Jeeks, what you all think of this casting. Next quick hit. As of this recording, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills lost in overtime to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos may have won the game, but unfortunately, they lost quarterback Bo Nix to a broken ankle, and he will be out for the remainder of the playoffs. So that does not bode well for the Broncos. But the big thing is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They're the ones with the expectation Josh Allen is this MVP winning quarterback. This was supposed to be the year that the Bills got it done. No Patrick Mahomes in your way. No Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in your way. No Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and high-powered Cincinnati offense in your way. None of these other big quarterbacks that have been touted as thorns in your side are in the playoffs, and yet we still have another early playoff exit for Josh Allen, who in his post-game press conference shouldered the blame for this loss. A really big fumble in the game that I just can't believe the lack of ball security in that moment. Bills fans, I'm sorry. I know it's been rough for y'all, and you got to be reeling. Man, this is for me. Speaking as a Lions fan, just observing. If you are a Bills fan, to me, and you're the Bills organization right now, your question has to be, where do we go from here? It really has to say, is this an aberration? Where truly are the holes? And you have to start asking yourself tough questions like, is Josh Allen the guy that can get us where we need to be? Because there's no denying his talent, but is he the quarterback that can lead us to the promised land? You really have to start seriously asking yourself that question. And I don't know what you do with that, because it looks like, to me, it looks like the answer is probably not. The problem is, and if the answer you come up with, no, he's not the guy that's going to get us to the mountaintop, then the question is, well, what do we do with him? Because it's not like you can just go out there and just get a better quarterback. There's there's not many to pick from. And if you could just get someone you deem better, which again, there's not many to choose from, and you can say this quarterback is better than Josh Allen, even if you can get them, and let's just say those are the three I named: Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, or Joe Burrow. They've all had injury issues over the past few years. And outside of Mahomes, they've got their own issues. Lamar's never been to Super Bowl. Burrow hasn't been back. And Patrick's getting beat up and older. So it's tough because unless you're going to trade Josh for to a team that needs a quarterback and is willing to mortgage, but they're trying to win now, and they're willing to mortgage, the next 5-6 years of picks, and they're going to send you a quarterback that's serviceable, so the team doesn't suck, and they're going to keep you competitive. Then maybe you consider doing that, but I don't know. Bills fans, how are you feeling? What are you thinking? It's especially it's at the time of the recording, this just happened, but at the time this episode comes out, it's going to be a week that you've had to sit and ponder with this Josh Allen question. So I would love to know, what you think is best moving forward for the Bills. Do you keep Josh Allen? Do you move on from him? Do you try to get a couple first rounders, some second rounders, some third rounders over the next 4 or 5 drafts and try to rebuild the team through the draft? Do you move on from Cook at running back? Um, do you get a quarterback you think you can develop and trade Josh? You get a quarterback you think you can develop in the draft and then spend the rest of the picks in off-season moves to shore up the defense. Uh, there's a lot of decisions that got to be made here. All right, next quick hit. We are jumping into the wrestling ring. I know we don't talk about wrestling a whole lot on this show because we have a dedicated wrestling show, but we still do occasionally talk wrestling here. And the Rascals. The Rascals have arrived in AEW. And, I'm, as a fan, I'm happy for the Rascals. They had some issues that were personal that didn't make a lot of the WWE run, positive. That that's not the WWE's fault. That mistakes were made in people's lives that caused things to not go according to plan. But even with that, I think AEW is a great place for the Rascals. I think their work rate fits the Rascals. I think their roster and who they have to work with really fits them very well. And just the overall vibe at AEW, I think, fits the Rascals quite well. I think it's a great place and a better fit, honestly, than WWE is. However, I will say that I don't think AEW will or has the marketing or the audience to make the Rascals into bigger stars than what they currently are. I don't think there's an ascension that's going to really happen for the Rascals. I don't think they're going to get any more famous than they already are. But I think overall, AEW is just going to be a better fit for the Rascals. And it should be fun. I think the Rascals are going to have a lot more fun in AEW. And when they're having fun, it really shows in their work, and their work overall quality is going to be higher because they're really going to be enjoying themselves and having a good time. So I think this move to AEW is mutually beneficial for AEW, for the Rascals, and for us fans, of both of AEW and the Rascals. But what do you think? Do you like the Rascals move? Or would you rather have them try to stick it out in WWE and you hope that they get bigger from having the machine to hopefully be behind them? Again, I'll share what you think on any of these quick hit topics, as well as what you're playing, watching, creating in the League of Jeeks Facebook group. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. And speaking of hearing, one way to make yourself heard is Zencastr. Zencastr is the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. It provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Zencastr records video up to 4K to give you the picture-perfect quality that your video podcast deserves. Zencastr will also distribute your video podcast in 1080p to all available video podcast players. Zencastr's post-production process takes the headache out of audio production. You set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. Are you ready to start? Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code Jeek Nation, JeekNation, and you'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. All right, Jeeks, welcome back. Those ads are, well, they are what they are, but they help us pay the bills. And here we are coming to a fun part of the show that hopefully you were intrigued on. And I'm really excited for this section of the show. We are joined for the first time by today's guest. Her name is Kendra Mahon, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, a.k.a. Kung Fu Kendra, a.k.a. Sifu Kendra. She is a third-generation master in the Ip Man lineage, a 2 gold stripe black sash in Kung Fu, professional with over 20 years of experience and an expert fitness trainer. She is also the founder of the Global Kung Fu Alliance and author of Push Your Way Through: How You Can Use the Ancient Principles of Kung Fu to Get What You Want. Kung Fu Kendra, welcome to the original Jeek Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are so glad to have you here with us. So what we usually do is when we have guests like yourself, is we like to do a little bit of an interview section just so our listeners can kind of get to know a bit more about you and a bit more about your story. So we're going to talk about your martial arts journey, and then at the end, a little fun, and just talking about martial arts within popular media.
Wonderful.
All right. So to start, Kendra, share with us your origin story. How did you get started in martial arts?
Well, I started Wing Chun over 20 years ago in 2005. And I unfortunately started martial arts because I was attacked back in 2005. And it was one of these experiences that you can never quite shake.
Mm.
However, I took initiative after that to learn martial arts. So at the time, I opened up what we had, the yellow pages back then, and I looked
Yes.
for a martial arts school. And it was important for me to learn how to not let that happen again
Mm.
and to learn how to have the confidence so I'm not walking around like a target. And I found Wing Chun. I found a school and I started training, and it instilled in me the principles of discipline, confidence, learning to use my body as a weapon.
Mhm.
And eventually that led to teaching Wing Chun, which for me feels like my life's mission, knowing that I'm helping others learn the skills that they need in life to feel confident that they could protect themselves. A lot of people I've worked with don't know or didn't know when I first met them, even how to kick. It's not
Mhm.
something we do every day, but it's a simple skill that with proper training and the act of actually doing, it gives them a fighting chance. And for me, that was extremely important. And those are my roots.
Wow. Well, thankfully, you turned something that was terrible and tragic into a positive and a building block for your life. Sorry that you had to get your start that way, but thankfully the end result is where it is. Uh,
Yes.
so so you said so aging yourself within my age range there with the yellow pages. Uh,
Mhm.
there's and I'm sorry, I tend to go down the rabbit hole, so I'm just going to naturally flow here. There's so many options when you would open up the yellow pages, or today, if you if someone is in a similar situation where they want to reach out and get in, and they're like, oh man, I know I need to build myself up. And like the yellow pages, Google is full of options when it comes to different martial arts. What was it about Wing Chun that really drew you into to make, instead of going out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna try karate or I'm gonna try taekwondo, but I'm gonna really stay within this specific form of Chinese wushu?"
That's an excellent question. And the answer to that is that Wing Chun is a martial arts developed for realistic and practical self defense. You don't need to be strong and heavy and powerful in the sense of force.
Mhm,
It trains you to be smart, quick, and do things that essentially make sense in terms of the economy of motion, being able to get from point A to point B with the least amount of bloodshed, so to speak. It's not a competitive martial arts by any means,
mhm.
but it's perfect for realistic and practical situations. And I want to let you know and let your listeners know and viewers that I have a free gift, which is a free Wing Chun class that I teach at kungfukendra.com/gift, GIFT.
Well, that is extremely generous of you, Kendra. Thank you so much. So, Jeeks, you listening to this episode, go into the show notes. There will be the link for kungfukendra.com, and you can use that promo code GIFT, GIFT, to get your free online video class with Sifu Kendra here. Um, you make a great point when it comes to Wing Chun. Um, I so just to help you understand from my background, I grew up a freestyle wrestler, and my mother is a second degree judoka. Um, from competed on the Michigan State judo team back in the late '70s. So I grew up with a grappling household, um, and always had a great respect for various martial arts. And when it comes to uh, Wing Chun, I think one thing that is really unique about it, like you said, is unlike other arts, they have not obviously not requirements, but they lean towards particular physical traits. Some arts are better suited for different body types. Taekwondo is good for those who are long and rangy, long kicks, long punches. Um, where Wing Chun is easier for a much wider base of people because your strikes are very center line, your kicks are very center line, and it's not a rangy art, it's very close quarters combat, which anybody, regardless of body type, is able to do. Um, how much, does that play a part for you when you are meeting new students and you're, starting to teach people, the basics of Wing Chun?
Well, the way I like to describe it is peeling away the layers that have been instilled in us over time. So we build this shell as we go through life, and that's a shell that can be of um, resistance, stiffness, lack of flow. So really, we're kind of stripping away all the shell around the outside
Mm,
to bring you into your most purest form of center line, the whole concept of the foundation of everything. The
Hmm.
very form in Wing Chun is called Silim Dao, and that means the little idea. So it's like the first spark of pureness. So when I first meet a student, it's a situation of kind of taking away the resistance and the power and the strength and building like an instrument, a musical instrument is like how I like to describe it. When I'm talking about my students, it's learning to use your body as an instrument to defend yourself. And you need to be malleable. You need to move like water, as Bruce Lee would say.
Hmm.
That doesn't come natural after, being out in the world and having to encounter the good times, but also the bad times. And it's really an honor to get to work with people and help them discover that part of themselves.
Absolutely. Speaking of stripping away what the world puts onto you, uh, it's 2026, so we would hope that this still isn't the case. But do you still get prospective students who have this, you know, action hero star mindset coming and they saw they watched Enter the Dragon, or they grew up in the 90s and were big fans of Three Ninjas, and they think I'm going to take some classes and all of a sudden I'm going to be an action star. Is that still that was more common in the 90s and early 2000s, but is that still something that's occurring today, where people are coming in with that kind of action hero attitude into martial arts?
Well, that's an interesting question. And from my experience, it's about on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about every two people.
Mm,
A lot of times it's people looking to better themselves or looking for discipline or, um, in some cases, like you said, it's from watching like Ip Man movies and wanting to learn Wing Chun. But in a lot of ways, it's just a self development journey, which is quite interesting.
indeed. Let's talk about the name Kung Fu Kendra. It has a bit of a fun, and for me, it gives me a bit of a little 70s throwback energy. Um, what inspired your brand identity, and how does it represent your approach to Wing Chun, your own creativity, and the content that you?
Well, I wanted a name that shows that I take martial arts seriously, but I'm not too serious about it. And that's kind of the thing you're getting at about the 70s kung fu. It was serious, but it also had an entertainment factor to it.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what I do. The retro vibe shows that martial arts doesn't have to be scary or intimidating. And I thought Kendra, Kung Fu Kendra, it just made sense at the time. And I've stuck with it. And it's worked for me because I do believe that we should embrace a serious aspect to ourselves. It's like the yin and the yang, but
Mhm.
we also need to embrace the childlike mind. And it's got a ring to it, but it definitely does have a 70s feel to it. And I really like that you brought that up. That's extremely true.
Awesome. Let's talk a bit about your book. I I read some of the first chapter, and early in your book, you talk about the herd mentality, and how others engage in that mentality, and you mentioned how someone can benefit as a result of others engaging in herd mentality. Can you walk us through the connection to Wing Chun principles and how someone could apply it uh, to their life even today after this listening to this episode?
Well, I'm really happy that you brought that up. I did write a book. It's called Push Your Way Through. And in this book, you can read about how to use, like you said, the ancient principles of Kung Fu to get what you want. So it's learning to um, kind of craft your life in a way that's efficient for you. The way I like to look at it is we are a jelly bean or a jar of jelly beans. So
Okay.
our life is, you never know when the last jelly bean is going to be picked out of the jelly bean jar because life is unpredictable.
Hmm.
Now, I think of it as how do I want to live my life? How do I want to streamline it in such a way that I get the most joy, the most time with friends and family, most time to have peace? So the book was inspired to use the principles of Kung Fu to get the life that you want. So to kind of figure it out. Now, the herd mentality, as you said, is in the first part of the book, and that's identifying this concept that we need to kind of break out of the mass thinking. And as an example, let's say you're standing at a green light or you're standing at the light waiting for the walk sign to go on and
Okay.
you're at your phone, you're busy, you see someone kind of start walking, right? And then you start to walk, but it's actually a green light and cars are passing. So you weren't thinking for yourself in that moment. You were flowing with the herd,
Mm.
okay? Now, the concept of the herd mentality with regards to Wing Chun is that you can't always take things for granted. You need to not be um, oblivious of the world around you. And that comes with being discerning.
Mm.
And that's just one example of the concepts in the book. And the rest of it is just built around trying to make the most efficient life possible and thinking for yourself.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Thank you. Oh, back to backtracking just a little bit. Um, One thing that I don't know if a lot of people, especially people, Westerners, are aware of, because a lot of the popularity around Wing Chun right now is due to, as you mentioned earlier, the Ip Man films. A lot of people are not aware that um, history maintains that Wing Chun was a martial art that was designed by a woman. How much does the history of Wing Chun resonate with you as a teacher of the art?
That's a great question. And that's what makes my teachings of Wing Chun extremely authentic is that I am a woman and um, it was created by a woman. And the whole idea is that you should be able to control the movements and the motion of the attack, even if you're a small person. And it's so inspiring to know that you don't need to be a big, strong man or a big, strong woman to win the fight, that anyone has a shot at getting out of a horrible situation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Um, so, just a couple more questions on the interview side here. One actually tied to the next question. But one, congratulations on being named amongst Calgary's best trainers of 2025. Um, your fitness training, does that come out of purely training within Wing Chun, or do you mix it with other aspects of of exercise?
Well, that's a great question. And for my Wing Chun training, it's important to have a conditioning aspect to it. So it's half learning skills and then it's half cardio conditioning. So it's like a kickboxing workout. It's learning to kick the bag and then rapid chain punches and then elbows, right? And then down for 5 push-ups, popping up. There's no equipment required. And for me, it's important to encourage people to have the skills, but also have the physical agility to release the energy, release the power, and stay in great shape and develop confidence through exercise. So I'm a huge believer in it. One of my cardio kickboxing clients is Brett Wilson. He's from the TV show The Dragon's Den in Canada. Um, he he loves it, and I try to incorporate it into my courses as well. On my website, I have a full home Wing Chun workout, so you can do it from home. I like to call it's almost like the prison workout. You just need a small room. I
Hmm.
created the program during COVID, so it gave people an opportunity to just be in their room or wherever it was and get into the great shape that they wanted to be in, as well as learning basic self-defense.
Awesome. So last question, it kind of ties into what you just shared. Um, Unfortunately, there are people who have a great amount of skepticism, and dealing with the skepticism is, especially around martial arts, it's got to be challenging. How do you deal with some of the challenges of skepticism, and sometimes flat out disrespect that appears online surrounding martial arts, particularly Wing Chun, as anybody can see from YouTubers like Master Wong, for example, get a lot of flack, in their comments. How do you deal, with those challenges and skepticism that can be found online?
Well, to be honest, I let my work speak for itself. And instead of arguing online, I show what works and I explain it clearly and admit what the limits are. Every martial art has its strengths, and I always show utmost respect to other martial artists, especially when they're putting themselves out there to demonstrate their skills. In this day and age, there's a lot of, I like to call keyboard warriors. They'll
Yes.
just go on and they just have lots to say. And the way to kind of get over that and still have the confidence to be who you are is just let your work speak for itself. With anything, there's going to be polarization. The more
Mhm.
popular you become, the more people are going to have something to say. You get more popular, more, lashback and haters.
Yeah,
And
and more
it's
haters.
you know what? It's actually better to have them talking about you than not talking about you, especially if you're trying to build an online reputation and public figure. You can't be afraid of the haters, because actually the haters are showing you kind of where you're at, where your success level's at. The more you have, the higher and the more intimidated they are. So good for
Uh,
Master Wong for continuing to do what he does, and for all the other Wing Chun martial artists who put themselves out there. Just don't take it too seriously, because it doesn't mean anything. It just means you're doing a great job.
I agree. Um, I I mentioned him specifically just because he has a similar approach to you as far as being serious but not taking himself too seriously, uh, and because like you said, haters are going to hate. So, and honestly, haters are some of the best consumers of your content. So, I mean, they're watching because they're commenting and they're hating. So,
Hmm.
no, that's a great way to deal with it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the interview portion here, Sifu Kendra. It's really been a pleasure to learn more about your journey. And so I just want to transition just to a little bit of fun talk around some uh, particularly Wing Chun, in popular media. But before I bring up some of the topics, as as someone who's more on the serious side compared to someone who may just enjoy Wing Chun or study it more as a student, as someone whose life is more entwined with it, how does um, Wing Chun representation in popular media? How does it make you feel? Is it pride, comfort, unease, sometimes a mixture of, hey, this is too much, hey, this is good.
Are you speaking with regards to the movies?
Not just movies, but just the movies are obviously the biggest part.
Mhm.
Particularly the Donnie Yen, Ip Man films. And for those who don't know, Donnie Yen is in the movie Wing Chun with Michelle Yeoh, which is a very underrated classic. Uh,
Mhm.
but there are because of the success of the Donnie Yen series, there are so many Ip Man films. There's Grandmaster. There's a plethora of them, and and even the spinoffs from the Ip Man series. So, uh, is there? Yeah, I was just wondering, how do you feel about how um, how Wing Chun is just really being overall represented as it's gained in popularity
Well,
with the popular media?
I think it's fantastic. I think that anything we can do to promote Kung Fu, especially Wing Chun, is so important right now. There's a lot of martial arts that are kind of taking the show away from Wing Chun, but I have a huge amount of pride for all the movies that are being made, all of the practitioners out there, all of the pages, all of the groups, and everyone who is putting things out there to help promote and keep Wing Chun popular. And like you said, the Donnie Yen movies are phenomenal. And because of them, people are aware of Wing Chun and Ip Man. So I think it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Tying into that, so speaking of the Donnie Yen films, of the four of them, which one do you would you recommend to someone wanting to get um, the best representation in the films of Wing Chun itself? Because as I know you're aware, um, a lot of martial arts films tend to incorporate, a lot of the supernatural aspect, the flying, a la Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I'm drawing a blank on it. It's one of my favorites. Um, House of Flying Daggers, where it's more fantastical. Um, but which of the Iman films would you say this one is the best representation of actual, real life application of Wing Chun?
That's a great question. And for me, it's definitely the first one, Ip Man 1. Donnie Yen showed Ip Man's calm dignity, his resistance to fighting, and his skill when needed. The movie is phenomenal, and what's even more phenomenal is how Donnie Yen learned Wing Chun in 9 months
Mhm.
for that film. Um, that's a uh, amazing thing that he's done, and I think definitely Ip Man 1. How about you?
Oh, wow. So being that to me, I am very, very partial to Eat Man One. Um, Particularly because, I have always been my approach personally to martial arts has always been, about a lot of balance. Um, I read The Tao of Jeek back in '96 as a teenager, and I really wanted to really make a balance and incorporate of all the martial arts that I had learned throughout my short time, of life at that point. So I really, um, so when I saw Eat Man, and I particularly loved the challenge early in the film where the Northerners, and I forget the actor's name, but he played Ricky O, when they went and were challenging from school to school. I love that because you got to see a lot of, um, conflicting styles, and then they come to Master Eve's house, And as you mentioned, not wanting to fight, not wanting to tear up his house, not wanting to anger his wife, but then stepping up and doing what was needed at the time. But the how just the how his and one I did not know he only learned it in 9 months. I knew he had dabbled a little bit back in the day for the Wing Chun movie, but 9 months is impressive because his movements are so crisp and so clean. And obviously that's part of his previous training, but it's everything was, from what any practitioner had told me, very grounded. From because people expect wide kicks in martial arts movies, but Wing Chun is very straightforward, low kicks. It's not a high kick in the face type of martial art, so everything just looks so authentic. So I'm very partial to Ip Man One, and just also Donnie Yen has insane hand speed, and when you combine that hand speed with a martial art that is so strike heavy and and hand work heavy within the center line, is just gorgeous to look at.
I agree. Very well said.
So speaking of Donnie, 'cause, he's fantastic. Outside of Ip Man, what are give me your top 5 Donnie Yen films outside the Ip Man series?
Okay. That would be a pleasure because I'm a huge fan of him and he's probably my favorite actor ever.
Okay.
Yeah. So my top 5 would be Hero in 2002.
So good.
His fight with Jet Li was absolutely incredible. It's unforgettable. I would definitely recommend that. Everyone's got to see that one. Killzone,
Mm.
2005, of course. He's done so many, but I love Flashpoint.
Oh, so good. So
Yeah.
good. Oh,
Yeah. That's great modern action, mixing MMA and traditional martial arts. So we're getting that fusion. I love
yes.
that. Number 4, I think, would be John Wick, Chapter 4 in
Okay, yeah.
2023. So, still delivering incredible action. And Rogue One, a Star Wars story in
Mm.
brought the martial arts philosophy to that perfectly. I am a huge fan of Donnie Yen, like I said, and I would recommend any of those movies to anyone.
That is a fantastic list, Sifu. Great pull. Flashpoint, but that's a fantastic pull. Wow, that's a great list. I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to go watch Flashpoint tonight. I haven't watched that in a minute. I love that film. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, Let me ask you this: Have you, my personal favorite Donnie Yen film has a bit more story than the average Donnie Yen film, but I was wondering what your thoughts are on. Um, it is what is it? I always remember the tagline. It's the Return of Chen Zhen. I forget the um. It's in my Netflix queue too. It stars him and the woman from Jackie Chan's Gorgeous. Of course, I'm drawing a blank on her name now. Um, what is the title though? It is. It's my favorite movie, and I'm sitting here forgetting the actual title, which is horrible. If I can see the art in my head, and no, that's Igman again. I've got all the Igmans in here. No, no. Oh, well, if you've seen it, you probably would recognize based on the description I'm giving. But if you haven't seen it, I think the martial arts in it is fantastic. It's what is it called? Um, he dresses up like Kato. It was tied to Bruce Lee. Um,
Hmm.
Let me Google it real quick. Um, Turn of Transcend. Legend of the Fist. Legend of the Fist: The Return of Shenzhen came out in 2010.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, um, I definitely recommend watching it, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it
Okay.
offline. Like
Okay.
it's yeah, but definitely it's. I think it's a fantastic story, well acted, and Donnie Yen's martial arts performance and acting performance I think are top notch. In
Okay.
Legend of the Fist. Okay, so lastly, since this show is a combination of the sports world and the nerd world, I sent you a link to a YouTube video of video game Tekken that introduced
Okay.
a Wing Chun fighter named Leroy Smith. Were you able to
Mhm.
watch that?
Yes, I did, and that was pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, if you could rate just a 1 through 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, how you rate the Wing Chun used by the character in the game.
Well, I was going to give Leroy Smith a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
And I mean, what they got right, they clearly studied Wing Chun. The chain punching, the center line, the attack and defense, the speed and directness, that all made sense. But why not a 5? But I would say for the game, they had to make some moves flashier than what real
Mm,
Chung actually is. Some of the kicks were a little too high, and but that's just a small issue.
yeah.
For a video game character, Leroy is one of the best representations that I've seen so far in a video game. And the developers clearly worked hard at understanding Wing Chun, and I'm very proud of what they've done there.
Awesome. So you Tekken players out there, Kung Fu Kendra has given her stamp of approval for you to spam your use of Leroy Smith.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, Sifu Kendra, thank you so much for your time. It has been such a pleasure having you here with us on the original Jeek podcast. Jeek's listening to this episode. Again, check out the show notes. Uh, her links will be in the description. Again, kungfukendra.com. Use the code GIFT, GIFT, for your free lesson with Sifu Kendra. And if you want to follow her online, please do. I think you're really going to benefit from learning what you can from her. Sifu, thank you again so much for your time. We're
Thank
really
you for
glad to
having
have
me.
you here. You're quite welcome. And Jakes, we can't thank you enough for continuing to support this show. We are in year 10. This is episode 101, and we couldn't do it without your continued support. So please rate and review the show on your podcasting app of choice, Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, and others. And if you can't find us, let us know by messaging us on social media or emailing us at jeeknation@gmail.com. And until next time, peace.
Ready to make an entrance, so backwards cut. Come on, clap for me.
Oh yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
This is DJ What, and you're listening to the original Jeek Podcast.